Ooh.
That's right, Rob.
That's
We back.
right. That's right, buddy. That's
So
right.
you guys know what to do. Like, heart it, subscribe it, share it, tell your cousin about it. That's what we're here for. So let's go.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So what we are talking about today? Oh wait, I think we got to introduce ourselves.
It seems like the right idea. Well, before I introduce myself, what I want to say is this lovely cup over here behind me, right? I don't know if anybody's seen it, but that's the Michael Brown sales team cup, right?
Props
amazing swag. But my name's Rob Persaud. I'm a realtor here in New York. Yes. Across the platforms, it's Rob the Realtor NYC.
Rob the Realtor. I'm Michael Brown. I am M Brown the Realtor on TikTok, Realtor M Brown on Instagram, and probably Realtor M Brown on YouTube, and I think that's all that matters.
Do you think Jamal would frown upon it if you like rebranded yourself like Brown Love or something like that?
I think that would be heavily frowned upon.
Yeah, I can see it.
I don't know if that's in culture.
You know. I mean, look. I mean, that
could be a good team name. Yeah. Team Brown Love.
I mean, perhaps. I mean, we got. Let's give a shout out to our producer Dimitri Lindo, right?
Huge shout out.
Yeah, huge.
I gotta say something about him because I tried to do videos plenty of times.
Oh, they were so bad.
They were so bad.
They were so bad.
And it takes me hours to edit them. I'm just the worst. So we're forever thankful for you, young man. And without you, we wouldn't have any content.
No, and you know what's so weird is that he starts here in some kind of administrative role, and now he's our producer.
He's our producer,
right?
He goes home with the key to this room.
Yeah.
He calls me yesterday. He's like, that room locked.
Oh yeah. So he cycles. He cycles when he's not sure. I get the first call, and if I don't pick it up right away, I think it moves to you because I'm usually here later than you. I think it moves to you. If it doesn't move to you, I believe Rita was the person
Rita's on the cycle.
Right. She's on the cycle, right? Rita Moreno, is that her last name?
Maybe because she lives nearby.
Right. No. When she's here late.
Got it.
Right. She's here late. Remember, she has what's it? Does anybody know Rita's thing on YouTube?
Right Move Mindset.
Right Move Mindset.
Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube on all platforms.
Let me tell you, she's a new agent, but that girl is brilliant.
Yeah.
She's a brilliant new agent.
Every now and then, someone that's new, that's not in the industry, come in. You can see how they can translate those skills that they have from past and roll it right into this. And she's already doing that. So
no. She's just well put together. You know, she really has it going on. I follow her on YouTube.
Yeah,
I think her stuff is really insightful. I think she's really smart. You know, one of the things that from watching her YouTube, because she's a newer agent, I'm going to talk about something today that we don't speak about. I don't hear anybody speak about it.
Yeah.
You know, you and I were chopping it up this morning, and we said, you know what? Let's put this out there for any sellers or buyers that watch this.
Because it's for both.
Right? This is for both. Well, look, it's for sellers, it's for buyers, it's for mortgage people, it's for agents, new agents,
God,
right? Right. So we're talking about today, we're talking about the anxiety of the week of closing your home, right? Because look, if you're buying, right, or
if you're selling and buying, right? Because sometimes your seller is buying something.
And slow your roll, Mike. Slow your roll, Mike. Slow your roll. Let's keep it right. Yeah,
simple transaction. Someone is selling,
and someone is buying. Right.
Okay.
Right. Let's stay in that realm before we get into the nuances of all the craziness. Right. Before we get into the weeds, as they say. Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how those people feel. Right.
Well, I'll tell you a crazy story. We just closed on the house in Bronxville, big house.
Right. Right. Congrats on that.
Enormous house, and the house was practically empty. And it's funny you said the anxiety, because I think there was a lot of anxiety around coordinating the final walkthrough, coordinating the trash out, right? Because I think a lot of times people don't want to make any of those definitive moves until they know it's closing.
And I feel like you're right, definitely. But one of the things I could say about that particular house, because I know that house, I was a part of it.
Yeah.
That house, the people that were selling and the people that were buying, incredibly sophisticated people. Right?
Oh, yeah. Incredibly
sophisticated people, right? We're talking about really elite professionals, right? Structured deal, understand contract times, right? Understand bumps can come in the road,
and the attorneys, too. They were all, everyone involved was sharp people.
Everybody there was elite, right? Was elite. Except for the listing agent. He was a bit dull. But
I happen to be listening.
Yeah. So anyways, that's my guy. But what I'm talking about today is the person, like we closed the deal in Queens, and this person that was living in the house had been there for 30 years. just wonderful human beings.
Mhm.
Raised 2 kids there. Good salt of the earth people. Worked hard, bought their first home. This was their first and only home as of right now.
So they had
And
been there as their first purchase 30 years ago and been there
so
the
they came
whole
from
time.
Trinidad. Like now, when I
Wow.
speak to people like this, it always reminds me exactly how old I am because like they talk about coming in like the 90s, and I'm like,
That was in high
I'm like,
school.
wow, that's so far away, that's so far ago, right? But they're like, we touched down at JFK in 1991,
Right.
and they tell you that story. By 95 they bought a house,
bought
and
a
now
house
here we
already.
are, 2026, right?
They never moved. And we
uh,
talk about often the average time is 5 to 7 years, but why move if it makes sense, if it works, right?
One, and why move it makes sense. But look, number 2 is that if you get something at a good deal, it's the commitment. Number 1, moving is a pain, right? And we
That's
all
my wife.
recognize
We're
that.
never moving again. She
And
said that.
that is part of the anxiety of
Yeah.
that week that the premise
Right.
of what we're talking about,
That's
right?
right.
Is the packing, the moving,
The coordination
the
of everything,
coordination,
yeah.
all of these types of things, right?
Yeah.
All of these are things that we're talking about here today that people need to understand. Look, we feel you.
Yeah.
You're heard,
Yep.
right? We know what you're going through.
Absolutely.
We've bought homes, we've sold homes, we've moved families.
Yeah.
But what we need everybody to do is, this is why when people make the argument that AI could take my job, there is no way, right? What are you're gonna type it into Claude? Hey Claude, I can't sleep tonight
Right.
because I don't know if when the mover truck's gonna show up, right?
Or is Claude going to coordinate that for you? Because you and I will coordinate that for our clients.
Look.
We'll coordinate the trash out. We have to coordinate a junk
Look,
removal, right? Like we'll coordinate.
shout
but
out all the
can't
way to
reach
Ozzy at Moving Elite. That guy is the
You told me
man.
about it, and it sounds like he was phenomenal.
Oh, dude, phenomenal, right? Phenomenal. Number 1 and number 2. I from that time to now, I want to say I heard he's done like 7 jobs. You know what is about that guy? His bedside manner. Right? When he meets the clients, when he's dealing with us, even when he's dealing with us, he's just a naturally cool, calm, collected guy.
Yeah.
And when you're meeting people, like some people, a lot of people that we deal with, packing and discarding is an emotional movement, right? These people, right? These people.
And I could only imagine someone who's been in the house 30 years,
Right.
the type of things that they wanted to go through, the kids' pictures, this. Oh my, I could imagine what that was like. Did they wait till the last minute?
What? They did not.
Okay.
These people,
That
so
would've
what
drove me
happened with
crazy.
these particular people was
All
that they had an agent before me.
Okay.
And it expired unsold because the agent held them up for months. But in that time, they packed and sent a lot of stuff
Smart.
to their family in Florida
Got
to
it.
where they were going to go temporarily while they looked for a home in Florida.
Got it.
So when I got there, I was like, man, these people are ready to go.
They're like practically staged already.
Yeah, they were practically staged already.
Yeah.
But so we end up listing, go into contract, and we closed the other day. But that week before closing, what happened there added a little bit of trauma to this closing, right? Because we get there and we're hearing from a mortgage banker, it's going to close, it's going to close, it's going to close. But then something ended up happening with the buyers, and the buyers took it upon themselves to go to the sellers and tell them themselves that this happened, right?
Oh my gosh.
It worked out.
Okay.
But that is
just thinking about it, like, oh my god, but it worked out.
That is one of the 1 out of 10 times that something like that happens, right?
Right. That's not normal.
Yeah. It's not, now keep it in mind, Mike, that this is live now. All right.
No, it's a camera.
Keep it in mind that this is live. That we're not recording this. Right. This is live. We're going live.
We're
right?
going live.
Okay. So I haven't hit it yet.
We are live
okay.
in our podcasting booth.
Okay. We are.
Yeah. We're live there.
Hold on. We got to show this guy. We gotta show
He
this
never
guy,
wants to get on camera,
Oh,
man.
That's the guy, everybody.
This is the guy that makes it happen.
Lindo, right? That's
Dimitri, come
Dimitri
over here,
Lindo.
so they can see you.
Yeah, that's Dimitri Lindo.
Yeah, wave to the people on TikTok.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. We're live right now. Right? We're
It's
shooting.
funny, like the coolest guy in the building. This never gets on camera.
Well, and you know what's the funniest? Is that he's always the most well dressed.
That's what I'm saying. The
Right?
coolest.
The guy looks like a runway model every day. Like we say, your shirt's out of your pants, right? I come in, my guts hanging over my belt. This guy shows up. His braids are perfect, like every day. He's got on the most stylish
You know
clothes.
what's funny? The other day I talked to him about his shoes. I said, "Did you get another pair of the same shoes?" And
Right.
he's like, "No, I just took him to the cobbler. I was
Yeah.
like, what 20-something-year-old knows about a cobbler?
That's number one. Who says the word cobbler? Right? Who says the word cobbler? I met with the elves. They pointed me in the direction. I passed the dragon's lair. And I arrived at the cave where the blacksmith was.
You need a good cobbler.
Yeah, where the blacksmith was and where the cobbler was. Yeah.
So you can
And
gut the fish.
I left one gold trinket. And he said, when I return, bring a silver and we'll be fair. Like, you know, this is what goes on here.
Gold trinket.
Yeah. So anyways.
You gotta hurry up, okay? Because you gotta pick up Taj.
I have to hurry up. I have to pick up Taj. I do have to pick up Taj. My wife will be calling again shortly. Yeah. So we're back on? All right, wonderful. So what we were talking about today was the fact that these people, the anxiety that people feel when they're closing, right?
And you said something earlier when we were talking, prepping for it, was like, it's supposed to be a happy moment.
Right.
And I don't remember the last time I had a closing where everyone was super happy.
I had one this week, right?
Yeah?
I did. That these same people that were so anxious, the people who lost the house, who lost their sale, and then got me referred to them, right? In Queens. The house was on 125th Street in Queens in South Ozone Park.
Ozone, Jamaica, Queens.
So yeah, so the guy
Shout out to 50 Cent.
Yeah, I guess shout out to 50 Cent, right?
I don't know.
Right. So the week before this closing, and we leading up to this closing, these people, the woman had quit her job a month ahead of time.
Seller or buyer?
The seller.
The seller.
Right. And she was upset because throughout this process, there was a delay, like I said, right? And the buyer, it wasn't their fault. This guy had applied for a city job, right? As a construction worker or something, right?
Union gig.
Yeah,
gig.
union gig. Oh no, he applied for facilities with night shift. That's what it was. So he applied 5 years ago. Throughout this process of purchase, he gets the call that they want him to start.
30 days into his mortgage application.
Right. He's got to switch jobs.
All right. So this is something we tell buyers don't do. Switch jobs in the middle of your mortgage.
Oh, that's right. That's right. This is on an email that goes out by most mortgage brokers worth their weight of salt that are going to say, don't run out and buy a new car.
Right.
Don't furnish your house before you close. right. And especially don't switch jobs. And no big money, right? We're not mortgage bankers, nor are we trying to act as financial professionals. We're just saying this is what we've seen.
This is what has been told to us
right.
This
is what we've seen. Now, what ends up happening now is the guy gets his dream job, right? Benefits, all this stuff. Meanwhile, the guy's working for, whatever he's working for in construction, he gets this night shift job. So he's got to take it.
Yeah.
But they want him to start immediately because somebody who apparently was injured, some kind of story they gave him, and he's got to start. So now they switch job.
30 days.
So now, longer, brother, longer. This is like, typical contingency is what, 90 days?
Yeah,
this is like
45.
75th. This is like,
so the commitment was already done.
Yeah, this is like 75 days into the deal. He's got to switch jobs. You know what I'm saying? So now what ends up happening is he switches jobs. Mortgage banker lets me know that, look, this happened. I couldn't control it. This guy can't lose his job, right? So I break it to my people, and my people are panicked that the deal's not going to go through.
Right.
Now, this mortgage banker faithfully
quit her job already,
right? She quit her job. That's
a great. Half the stuff up.
They're living on bare essentials, right? Because they said that they wanted to close. Like they close in the morning, they're moving to their son's house in Florida in the evening. They're out. Like they're gone, So what ends up happening now is I got to break this news to her, right? And one of the things that everybody has to realize is that if I'm on the listing side and you're on the buy side, I'm getting my information from you as to where the information is, where the deal flows.
You don't represent the other party directly.
The mortgage banker can't talk to me.
That's right.
Right? He can't talk to me. So here I am now. I'm hearing from and the listing agent was a great guy, the buyer's agent was a great guy. His name is Kasoon Dandraj, Skyport Homes, great guy. I've known him for years.
Shout out Kasoon.
And he calls me and he's like, look, this happened. This is what the mortgage banker told me. So information is coming through.
It sounds
like I said, everybody in this scenario was stand up, right? So now I call her and she's panicked to death, right? She's like, are they making up stories? Is the deal not going to go through? Because remember, she's traumatized from the deal failing before.
That's right. And that's so that happens often where they've had multiple deals fall apart and they second guess everything.
Right.
And that
And they're
creates
not
a whole
wrong
nother
for that.
trauma. No.
They're not wrong
And
for
we live
that.
in New York too, so
Right.
people don't believe anyone here.
Right. We can't have the New York suspicion,
That's
right? That
You got to put
Big
50%
Apple
down on the
suspicion.
contract because you're going to walk away from
Yeah, Big
100,000.
Apple suspicion, right? Big Apple suspicion, right? And if anybody coins that term, I said it first. Big Apple suspicion, all right? But what ends up happening now is that we arrive at a place where we bring the deal to conclusion, right? We get the call, file is clear to close. We're going to be closing on this and this day. I call her, I let her know. She's ecstatic, her son's ecstatic. But up until this point, right, over the last 5 days, I was very concerned because she was referred to me by somebody that I really, really respect. And she was acting as if it was me, right? And so this is what we broke her.
Yeah.
What we broke her is not the sale of a home. We broke her two things. We match the buyers and sellers, and we broke her feelings.
I was just about to say we broke her emotion.
Right, we broke her emotion.
Or try to keep the emotion out of the transactional piece of it. Because at the end of the day, buyer loves house, seller wants to sell house she loved. Let's just sell it to each other and keep all the particulars out. Right? Unless something like this happens. Like,
right.
Hey, and I love the fact that the agent disclosed exactly what was happening. Because often in our situations, we're like, why do they need an extension? Why are they getting another? What happened? And the other side isn't always as forthcoming.
Right. So that's really what ended up helped to put me back in their good graces before the closing.
That's right.
Which was that the buyers drove to the house. Unbeknownst to me, unbeknownst to the buyer's agent,
right? You didn't coordinate that, right?
But knocks on the door, people answer the door, they go inside and they say, "Look, Mr. Such and Such, what happened is
I gotta say that's a stand-up thing to do.
Well, they were stand-up people. They were just stand-up people.
I gotta say, if my buyers did that, I wouldn't be mad.
Right? No, look, nobody.
Nobody.
The only time you're going to get mad is when people use the kind of vocabulary that makes it seem as if they want to cut you out of a deal. Right? That's the only time you're going to get mad.
What kind of vocabulary would be in a conversation like that?
Or why are we paying this guy when we could buy? I could buy it directly from you and just.
When you hear the word directly from you, that's the conversations we want to avoid.
Yeah,
right?
but luckily we by this point, these people, like I said, beautiful people, they would never do that. But back to the I have a little bit of a branch here that I'm talking about how people talk about AI taking jobs, but then these people, AI can only take a deal if it's a sophisticated buyer and seller. And even then, AI is not going to coordinate Ozzy to move it out.
It's not going to communicate the way you just... I've listened to you on the phone.
Right.
You communicate like Judge Judy, like the words you use and your tonality. I'm sure something that might have been super stressful to most people, most agents, you handle it with the level of, don't be worried. We got you. And not in a dismissive way, like just the way, just talking to you. Every time I hear you on the phone, I'm like, this guy's freaking good on the phone.
But you know what it is? It's that between you and I sitting in this room, there's probably thousands of deals executed, right? And we've seen, I can't say we've seen it all because we all see some crazy things. Yeah. Right. Every now and again, we learn something new. Yeah. But ultimately, what ends up happening is we know the deal will close if it's going to close. Yeah. Right? Because a lot of times, remember, we have two parties that want this transaction. And that's what people forget.
Both these people want to get to that part of the table. Right.
Because a lot of times people, like, for example, these people that were buying were renting. And they were in a position where their rent was going up substantially. Right? Yeah. So basically, they just decided at one point that we can't keep paying the landlord's rent, the landlord's mortgage.
Because then it goes up here, then it goes up here, then it goes up here. And then before you know it, it's...
Look, and being a New York guy, being a real estate guy in New York, I love it. I love every minute of it. Like I told you, I love real estate. It puts me into everything. But let me tell you, rent ain't easy in New York, man. It's not easy. If you're paying in New York and you're renting in New York, you really need to sit down and figure out a way to buy because... what's my son? Like my son, for example, right?
What's a one-bedroom going to be when he gets out of college?
My boy's 4 years old when he gets out of college, right?
21 years from now.
Right? In 18 years, he gets out of college, right? And he's like, yo, Dad, can you help me out with my rent? So I'm like, all right, where are you going to be living, son? He's like, I'm living on 75th between 1st and New York. I'm like, all right, what's the rent? He's like, I got a studio and it's only $10,800.
That's exactly what it's going to be, probably. Because I had this conversation on TikTok yesterday with the gentleman we were talking about, telling my story of living in the clock tower.
Right.
And this is in 2008. When I got my apartment there, it was expensive then at $1,850.
And the clock tower is fire.
But
right? But
you know what it is now? 3,000.
3,000. That sounds about right. But even then, that is a tribute to Bronx real estate.
Yeah.
Like even then, that's it. Because if that building was on Ocean Parkway, right in Brooklyn, or that building was on Atlantic Avenue in Queens, if it was on Atlantic Avenue in Queens, it'd be 4,200. Because that's a sick loft, right? Those are sick lofts, right? And then downstairs now with all the stuff that they built there, you got Charlie's, you got all that good stuff. But I'm just saying, like, I agree with you. 3 Gs, right? So it's 36,000.
18 years from now, when your son says, "I want to move into the clock tower," it's going to be 8 G.
Yeah, it's going to be 8 Gs, right? He's going to be like, "All right, Dad, I need you to help me out with my rent." I'm like, "All right, son, what do you need?" He's like, "Look, so, I got a little break. I'm only going to spend 70 for the year, Pop. And I'm going to be sitting there working in real estate like, hey, you know what? That's not bad. Right? That's not bad.
You're not living in my rental.
Right.
Because you're not paying that in my rental.
Right.
Get more than that.
That's not bad, right? That's not bad. But
now, I got a question for you about the sellers. When they got to the closing, what was their attitude? What was their demeanor?
So I did a favor, which is something I don't do. I picked them up and took them to the closing, right? Awesome. They're older people. The guy's about 80. The woman's about 75, right? Oh, yeah. And so I pick them up and I drove them to the closing, and closing was 94 miles from their house.
Oh my God!
So that's why I picked them up.
Way out Long Island.
It was Melville, Long Island.
Oh shoot!
Oh, and by the way, if any of my attorneys, Sergio, if you're looking, anybody's looking at this, right? Any of our attorneys are looking at this.
Yes.
I want them to know.
Let them know.
We can close here.
That's right. Let them know.
Right? We can close here.
We don't need to go to Melville to do a closing.
We can close here. We have Scarsdale. That's right. We have 2 separate facilities that will facilitate closings.
Conference rooms that are big enough to hold 12, 15 people.
I mean, each one of them.
Don't need to go to Melville.
Right? Multiple printers. Again. We will have the front desk help you out with copies.
Wait, and the property was here in the Bronx?
The property was in Queens.
Probably, but still.
But you really want to hear the kicker about this? Right? Do you really want to hear the kicker? The 2 attorneys were in the same building in Queens. They were in the same building. So
why did we go to Melville?
I think that nobody wanted to wait anymore.
Oh, okay.
Right? That's what I think. And the 2 attorneys were willing to travel to the bank or to the title company or whatever.
You just said a fact, though. We kind of glossed over this. And I think often, like, if I'm closing with a first-time buyer or a seller who hasn't closed in years, they're like, why can't we close here? Why do we have to go all the way out to Melville?
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, it's the lender's office.
9 times out of 10, right? 9 times. In this particular case, this was not the lender's office. This was in the title office. But the title company insisted that unless we closed in their office at 4 o'clock,
it wasn't going to happen this week.
Last Monday, it wasn't. Their schedule was so packed.
Right.
That we had to do it in their office at 4 o'clock on Monday of this week.
I could see that.
But so we all accommodated. We all did what we had to do, right? We all did what we had to do, and at the end of it, they left happy. And the people when they got the people allowed them. Their flight was Tuesday morning. The closing was on Monday afternoon. The flight was Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. They had to leave for 6 a.m. So the people allowed them to stay in the house that last night. And when we left, it was beautiful because the people. When we left, it was one of those closings where everybody hugs, right?
See, I wanted to get to that because often the closings aren't that. It's a little contentious.
Yeah. I mean,
I want the 1/3 of the oil that's left in the tank.
Right.
I don't know, but I'm glad that you got to that part.
Yeah, we got to that part. And I've had quite a few of them like that.
I've had a few.
Right, where people
more the other side than not.
Well, I feel like now what's happened is that there's one person's always missing from the closing. Like if the seller will pre-sign, the buyer will pre-sign, right? We have a closing next week, Friday. And personally, I know this guy. I know the sellers. The seller, this is their one house. And I'm representing the buyer. The buyer, this is his 10th real estate transaction. So I'm pretty sure he's going to pre-sign. So he doesn't even have to go to the closing. So none of us have to travel there.
You just made another good point about that closing part is that sometimes these documents are pre-signed and there is a party missing. The seller is out of town or the seller already relocated or the buyer's not here. The buyer lives in another state and is coming in tomorrow. And for the sake of time, let's just close today. And not all the parties are there. So that's probably what also adds to the nuance of not always having that warm, fluffy type closing feelings.
Right. So when I sell my house that I live in now, I'm going to want a physical closing.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Whoever I sell it to, my house that I own now, I'm only going to sell it to a family.
Yeah.
I don't care if an investor comes and offers me more money.
Right?
I know. The house that I'm in.
You know, this is fair housing.
Right.
Just messing with you.
No, you make a good point. I'm sorry. Everybody has a right to bid on my house, but I will select the buyer of my choice, the buyer of my choice when I sell. But you're right.
You know what's funny? I remember being parties to transit. Like, I hope you find a family who's just as lucky, to own this house the way our family is. Like, you're just as lucky to find someone who has the money to pay for this damn house, right?
There is that, right? There is that,
but
I hear where you're coming from. I mean, houses get snapped up a lot by, and I understand the seller's perspectives, right? Let me get the most amount of money with the, but conversely, what we see sometimes is that the sellers, because they get to that person, they end up getting the house at a steep discount because that person just wants a smooth transaction.
That's right.
Right.
Just wants to, and they don't want the back and forth. They want people coming through the house.
Right.
They don't want that opportunity to maybe get more.
Do people ever understand the magnitude of loss that takes place? Do you think so? Do you think at the end of it, they're just so okay with it? I have an uncle who somebody was selling a home in his neighborhood, and he lives in a pretty affluent neighborhood, right? And his son was getting married, and somebody knocked on his door and was like, hey, I want to sell my house, but I don't want to list it with a broker. Right? Would you like to buy my house for your son? Well, I have all these strangers. I don't want to open house. I don't want any of that. He bought that house at a $200,000 discount. $200,000. Right? And the people knew that they were discounting the house.
They knew it.
Right?
But they were okay with it.
They were just so against the interaction with the outside world.
Strangers, probably. Just, I don't want to deal with some stranger because how do I trust him? I'd rather give up $200,000 knowing that you're.
Right. My uncle, who is a stand-up guy, super stand-up guy, goes to the house and says, look, I can give you X, but you understand, if you put this house on the market, you're going to get Y. And they're like, we're okay with X. We're okay with X. We're okay with that. We're all right with that. Just as long as it's a nice, easy transition. Right. We don't want to be too bothered. We don't want any problems, right? We don't want people stomping through our house. We don't want people looking at open our closets.
Yeah.
Which to me is like, oh, Jesus, like you're going to lose that much money.
Right, 50,000, okay, but 200,000.
200 grand. 200 grand. You walk in the house with $200,000 in equity.
Now, what do you see from a buyer's perspective? What is the biggest anxiety that week of?
The week of, from buyer's perspective, the buyer that I had that closed this same week, right? Because I had a closing this week where I represent a seller and I represent a buyer. So two different transactions, two different sides. The buyer was he was the first time buying a home, and throughout the process, what this taught me was a very important thing. And look, like I said, we learned. I'm going to be sending out on the bottom of my emails from now on, when I'm dealing in real estate, I'm going to put a list of things that buyers need to do and a list of sellers need to do. Whenever I send, it's going to be my email signature, because I told the guy, I text the guy, I called the guy, start shopping for insurance.
3 different mediums.
Right. Start shopping for insurance. Right. Start shopping for insurance. Have you spoken to the insurance guy that I referred to? The 3 guys that I sent to you. Have you spoken to any of them? No, I haven't. No, I have. Oh, no, I haven't. 2 days before the closing, look, we're clear to close, but we can't close because he doesn't have insurance. So now he wants to shop insurance, and that's the key. The key is, look, I don't want you to spend the most on insurance. I want you to have the time to shop.
And if you do it ahead of time, you can have that luxury of time. When you got to close tomorrow, you're probably just taking the first one that answers your phone.
So, like, if we speak to Dimitri, for example, and he's with State Farm, and we say, look, I'm buying 123 Main Street. What's my insurance going to cost me? He says it's going to cost X. And I speak to you, and you say it's going to cost Y. Now I know I've got it a little bit of, but this happened 2 weeks before the closing. So now what's going to happen is in order to close, what's the document we need called? The certificate of insurance, or is it?
No, not the HUD one, the CD, closing disclosure.
Right, but from the insurance company.
Oh, yeah, certificate, and you need the policy.
Right, there it is, policy and COI, right? So those documents, right, I'm going to give you a call and you're ready now.
Right.
We know the numbers. We know everything. So I'm just going to give you my card and you're going to email it to the lawyer and it's going to be nice and easy. This dude now, the day before closing, he's like, I'm on the phone with Progressive on my dad's phone. I'm on the phone with State Farm on my phone. Who do you think's better? I'm like, who do I think's better?
I don't know. I don't even know what
Geico.
riders you're asking for. You might be
I-
asking for replacement costs. You might be asking for, I don't know.
So I always say the same thing. I say, look, talk to the professional that you got on the phone, but you got two of them. What I would do is put the phone together and let them battle it out.
But to your point, though, if they would have taken the time to do it, it wouldn't have been rushed.
Right.
And then they can actually weigh apples to apples instead of saying, orange,
right.
you know,
And-
whatever it is.
And to this guy's point, he's a smart guy, my buyer. He's a smart guy. His dad's a smart guy. They were buying this house together, beautiful home. He's a smart guy. The problem is that in real life, people are working jobs to pay for these homes. And sometimes people are working overtime. And sometimes people work overnight. Sometimes while they're working, people have sick parents and kids and whatever. And life is happening during the purchase. So all of that compounded stress comes down to I want to close because I locked my rate.
Right.
Can't forget that little piece, right? Can't forget that little tidbit, right? Once they lock their rate, that's it. They lock their rate. We got to close in a certain time, and here we are now. The clock is ticking, and we're shopping for insurance, and we're doing this, and anxiety and life stress, and all these things are kicking in. So, look, I say this, and I'll say it with the utmost respect. We appreciate all of our clients here at KW.
Absolutely.
Everybody that gets to that closing table has earned it.
Yeah.
Right? Including the brokers, including the mortgage bankers, including everybody. Everybody's earned it. That last week, right? It's going to be stressful.
Yeah.
It's going to be stressful. Buying and selling a home is stressful.
Making sure you got the right checks, right? That your attorney calls you the night before and says,
look,
hey, go to
these
the
young
bank.
kids, like the young guy that I brought, I'm actually bringing him in here. He's going to be doing a podcast with us. He's one of my youngest purchasers ever. His name is Oliver Rodriguez. He's 27.
What? That's awesome.
He had
27
never
years old.
seen a check. This guy, the day before the closing, we say to him, the lawyer sends out the lawyer sends out a thing and it says this can be paid a personal check, and he calls me. He's like, Rob, what's a personal check? I'm like, it's a piece of paper that's linked to your money, buddy. Right? It's a piece of paper that's linked to your money. And he's like, how is it linked? I was like, all right, we're gonna go through this in detail, buddy.
You know what's funny? You say that, and as we work with different age ranges and socioeconomic types, you got to know, how to communicate with this guy, right?
Right.
And I'm sure you were probably texting a lot.
Well, that's
sorry.
one of the, we do a lot of texting, but more importantly is that, what it gave me a new perspective of how old I'm getting versus how young the buyers are. Right. So discussing what's a personal check with someone seems like a bizarre thing, but I blame the school system.
Right.
Because they should know how to write a check, man. You know what I'm saying? They should know how to write a check. I blame the kid's just trying to do better. He's trying to buy this house, bought this beautiful 2-family, the guy should know somewhere along the path of schooling. I feel like, hey, this is what a check, this is a personal checkbook, right? Right.
When you say it out loud and you're like, the kids probably pay everything online.
Right. Well, that's exactly
Everything's
it.
auto. Everything is
That's
set
exactly it. Which is great in some sense, right? Like, hey, I need a statement. When my parents bought the house, my mom would have to go to the bank, get a statement, print it out, get the printout, fax it, put it in the machine, fax it. Like, I need a statement. Hold on, let me screenshot it.
Or you only got statements this time of the month, right?
Or whatever it may be, right?
Before
Whatever
the internet.
But, look, at the end of the day, this is what it is. This is what we're working with. But this is to let both buyers and sellers know. Everybody's stressed during this time.
Also, and so lastly, from an agent perspective, I think the stress part is making sure we have all our ducks in a row. Particularly for us here in our office, because we have compliance.
Oh, compliance, right? We got to make the paperwork.
Compliance.
Like when you work in smaller shops and then you come here, you understand how off the wall things are in other places.
I don't know how half these other shops are still in
It's bananas.
I mean, not from what they do, just from a compliance paperwork perspective.
Right. Like it's, we have so much paperwork here, and it is so stayed on top of. And there's checks and balances of paperwork, and there are, so we have to make sure in order for us to be able to take care of our families that paperwork is in.
That's right.
And it's done appropriately.
Because we will
and
not
it's all that
get
kind of good
paid
stuff.
if it's not
That's
done.
right.
So I could help a family get to the finish line, help them. I can help them move after that. And if we don't have all our ducks in a row, we won't be compensated.
That's right.
And so
that's right. And then chasing down people for paperwork after the closing.
After the fact is the hardest thing to do.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
It's
but
the hardest.
Like you said, lastly, everybody's stressed. We're on your side.
Yes.
Right? We're on your side.
We're willing to do whatever it takes to get to. Just from listening to you are go above and beyond to make sure it gets to the end, and not from your perspective, but for your client.
Well, that's what it is. I want them to move into their home.
Right. You want them to get on that plane and go to Florida.
I want these people to get on the plane, right? I want this guy to be in his home. I want him to fire up that grill this Memorial Day weekend, right? And feel what it's like to run around in your backyard, you know, and do whatever it's going to do. I want that for him. This kid grew up in the same apartment building his whole life, you know. Him and his dad lived in that place, and now they got this beautiful house. And this weekend,
big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal, but it's stressful to get there.
That's right.
Right? It's stressful to get there.
And the day, let's not talk about the day after the closing, because that's a whole nother topic that you get to the house, you're like, there's no closets here.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole nother one. I got
They took the fridge.
Yeah. Well, final walkthrough would have detected that. But there are problems that always arise when they go into these houses, when we represent the buyers. That we have to mitigate.
Absolutely.
The day after, right?
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But Mike, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So guys, like, subscribe, heart. Right? You want to do the heart thing?
No, we're not doing that.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure how he wanted to close out. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Elijah. Thank you, Dimitri. I called Dimitri Elijah. You know how much he loves that.